what led you to study naturopathic medicine?
It's a long story. My background's in environmental engineering from the 90s, actually. And I did environmental engineering, and then I went to work for a consulting firm. The work environment wasn't as healthy as I would have liked. All 4 of my supervisors and my boss, their boss, all 5 of them had had at least 1 heart attack.
Okay.
And the youngest was probably my age now, if not a little younger. So at that point I started looking.
Okay.
And I realized while I was working there that I'd rather be outside with the plants than inside at an office doing wastewater treatment.
Yeah.
And I also found it wasn't as environmentally friendly as I'd hoped for, because the corporate world, of course, there's a lot of money involved. So the environment kind of took a back seat sometimes, and sometimes that wasn't forced upon us, so we didn't have much choice in the matter. So I wasn't happy there. So I started looking for something better. When I left, I went back to school, and it was between plant research and plant medicine, because I was very interested in just my lunch hours outside. I would walk to a park, and I would go for a little walk in the park. And I've always enjoyed plants. I remembered being interested in herbal medicine since high school. So I looked into it a little bit further, and I went back to school, back to Guelph, and I took a double major in biomedical sciences and plant biology, because I knew at that point through friends about the naturopathic program, but I was looking at either naturopathy or herbalism, something like that, something involving plant medicine. And I really enjoyed the medicine program, the biomedical sciences. Plants I enjoyed way more. Way more. But I didn't like the idea of trying to get funding for research projects. And through that process as well, I also took a number of different classes. So I took a massage therapy class to see if this was what I was interested in. I read a book on TCM. I went to a weekend seminar on homeopathy, oddly enough, it was for veterinary technicians for veterinary use. So it was just sort of an acute homeopathic class. So I would get some exposure there. I forget what I did for botmed, but I'd always been interested in that anyway, so I knew I was interested. And I also did some energetic stuff, so I did therapeutic touch. And as part of that class, and my own spiritual background, I came to what I was searching for, which is kind of a life purpose for me. And that life purpose for me is learning to heal. It's very general, as you can imagine. It sounds very general, but it's specifically learning how to heal myself, how to heal other people, society, and the environment. And for me, it's all very much rooted in nature. So healing others by bringing them back to nature, and helping others to heal nature, but also to help nature heal other people. So bringing that plant medicine back and helping people with that. So that kind of helped me make the decision to come into naturopathy. So I started in 2004. I did 2 years, got very, very sick, and ran out of money at the same time. If I was just sick, I would have pushed through. If I just ran out of money, I would have found more money. But the two of them combined were not in my favor. So I took a break. I took 4 years, actually. I took a couple of years, and then I was about ready to go back when my wife said, it's her turn. So her turn was starting her own veterinary hospital. So she did that, and I worked for her for a couple of years. And we built back up again, and then I came back here in 2010. And then I finished up in the next 4 years, part-time. I know there's a few people who kind of want to hear that part-time is doable.
Definitely. I'm a big part-timer.
So I did it in 10 years. If you do it in more than 6, you have to reapply. I had to
Okay,
reapply.
really?
Yep.
Okay.
So in
to know
2010 I
that.
reapplied. It was not a big deal. I did
Yeah.
not have to rewrite the essays because they had that on
Okay.
file.
Awesome.
But the reason is because they have to reevaluate credits
Okay.
because they combined some courses, the curriculum changed. So I had to
Okay,
take
fair
the new
enough,
clinical
yeah.
medicine classes, which meant I had to redo pathology. Not a big deal. It was just a
yeah.
small part of the class.
Okay.
But it meant that I had a little bit more knowledge and was able to get through a little bit more easily.
Yeah.
And
Good attitude. Yeah.
yeah, and part-time really does mean you get to have a little bit more of a life.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of my journey through
Yeah.
through naturopathic medicine, and then I graduated in 2014. I was able to get involved, happier and healthier, to get involved and stay involved
Yeah. Yeah.
through that process.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's nice to hear about the journey, especially if it's not, the typical. A lot of people's journeys are typical, but there's like the prototype, the 4 years this and the 4 years this, and then that's what people have in their head. Like, that's the way that has to be done. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing in engineering. The company that I worked for was good in the sense that we had mentors.
Okay.
And when I was thinking of leaving, I talked to my mentor in engineering about maybe switching tracks and leaving and doing these other things. And his thought was, do it now, because he would also have liked to have switched. He wanted to move. He wanted to do other things. But at that point, he was tied down. He had a wife. He had children. Anywhere he wanted to go would involve uprooting the family, which would be a lot more difficult. I was a lot more mobile, so he said, before you get tied down, now is the time to do it. I want to add to that if you want to make a change, make the change. It's not worth being miserable somewhere for 30 or 40 years, even if it means big changes, even if it means moving your family, even if it means making some sacrifices. Starting my career now at my age, compared to somebody out of high school who just started a job working in a factory for $50,000 a year, I would now have to make over $350,000 a year just to catch up. I'm not here because of the money. I didn't do this for the money. I knew that going in. I'm here because this is the right path, and this is the place for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Then after the huge achievement of completing the naturopathic program, what then led you to become interested in becoming a resident?
There's 3 main reasons. One, I don't feel like I was done with CCNM. I came back, I felt a lot better. I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to share what I've learned. I wanted to contribute back to CCNM, to the community, to naturopathic profession. I thought this was a great way to do it. I also felt like I wasn't done learning. The thing with medicine is you're learning for life. At no point should you feel like you're done. If you feel like you're done, it's time to retire or change professions, move on, do something different. I get bored really easily, so that's one of the things that attracts me to medicine. There's always more to learn. There's always more to do.
It never ends.
It never ends. So I wanted to learn more, and I wanted to contribute. And I guess the third one isn't really all that big. It's just a paycheck doesn't hurt.
Steady income.
Gotta be honest. It's nice to have the income. And sort of the things that CCNM pays for, like registration, like prescribing rights, prescribing courses, CE, and eventually the IVIT course. They're going to cover that at some point too. So it's part of the training that we get, and it's been really helpful. In that sense. So and the really nice thing about it, a few years ago I wasn't sure if I was going to do plant research or go into plant medicine. Well, now I'm doing plant medicine research. So I get to do both.
Best of everything.
Exactly. And the residency brought that together, so I can actually do. I didn't have to choose. In the end, I get to do all of it. So that makes me quite happy. happy.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, because that's like where you were, something you were really interested in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. What were you hoping to learn from embarking upon? Like, was there anything that you particularly went in thinking, I really want to, learn this or do this? Yeah.
Um, the answer is just more.
Yeah.
So in general, I wanted to strengthen what I learned. I wanted to see more patients, more concerns, because the internship year isn't really long enough to see a wide variety of things. So I wanted to see more and do more. I wanted to learn more about botanical medicine, more about physical medicine. My main conditions of interest are cancer and MSK pain relief.
Okay.
So I wanted to learn more about those areas as well, particularly because I do plan to I did open a practice around cancer treatment and pain management.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to learn more I want to do. With the research residency specifically, because that's just learning more of stuff I kind of can do. The research stuff is stuff that I haven't done, but I've wanted to do for a long time. So how do I run a clinical trial? How do I do research in my own private practice that can then contribute to the naturopathic profession? How do I do that? And that's a lot of my main goals for the research residency, is learning how to do all of that.
And it's a big goal to have. It's like you're learning how to kind of do something from start to finish, and like know how to do all the steps in between, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you're still in the residency program, so this is great. So we can keep it current. What are your responsibilities as a resident?
Okay. Right now, I've got a big research project that's taking up about half or a little bit more of my time. Takes up less than half during the year and more than half in the summer. So right now, I've been focusing on it a lot more. It is turmeric for use in cancer. It's a systematic review. So I'm looking at basically everything to do with turmeric in cancer. Does it work? Is it safe? Are there any drug interactions with the chemotherapy? Are there any potential interactions? I'm looking at all of that. Also, which form of turmeric? Do you use the whole plant? Do you use a curcumin derivative, which is the form that everybody's heard of? Or any of these proprietary special forms of turmeric that are of course more expensive and theoretically are supposed to work better. So do we need to spend the money on the really expensive form? Is the cheaper form better, or can you just get it from food and that still works? So I'm trying to answer all of those questions. What I didn't expect is how big it would get. I've got approximately 20 volunteers helping me with the project. I've also got another resident taking up part of the project as well. So Dr. Alisia Smith is taking over which form of turmeric should we use, and I'm focusing on does it work and is it safe. So we've kind of split it up a little bit that way. And then of course we've got a number of volunteers who are really gung-ho to help out and be involved in a big project. So I'm also learning project management from a larger standpoint. This is a little bit beyond what I was expecting to learn from the residency, but it's really helpful, really useful stuff to figure out. Also that's the one project, but there's also some other research responsibilities with the department that are unique to the research residency. So we've got a research club, we've got social media contributions. I get randomly thrown into other projects. So I did a little bit of research around laboratory testing for the profession. Which lab tests should we do? Which ones should we have access to? That kind of thing. Random media questions. So I got a request this morning for information on a certain type of medicine that our I guess a reporter contacted CCNM and wants a bit of information on this topic, so I'm doing a bit of background research, and I'll be providing some resources, I guess, to our media department, who's going to then handle the liaison, I guess, with the media. So that comes up on occasion. There's a lot of, it's just little questions.
Yeah.
So somebody will ask a question randomly about what do I do for this condition? Have you heard of anything? What's the latest research? And then that'll get piped down the line to somebody in the department. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's whoever happens to know something about it.
Yeah.
And then we'll just contribute as needed, I guess. From the other side of things, during the year, I'm involved as a TA. So I have TA'd botanical medicine, third year med
That's
Neps.
a really good fit.
Yeah. So and
those
that's
are your interests. Yeah.
That's right. Those are my interests, and that was intentional. We requested. The residents are allowed to request which courses we want to be involved in, and Dr. Vu does his best to place us where we have an interest, where we have our passion. He also places us in parts where we might have a weakness that we need to fill in to sort of round out the picture. So everybody does primary care, everybody does PCD to strengthen our physical skills. And then we also get assigned to various TA classes. So I did PCD, I did primary care, botanical medicine, manipulation, men's and women's health, those exams that we don't really get to do very often in private practice. So gynecological exams, DREs, the more complicated procedures that we just don't have time to practice. We get extra training on them, so we do a few before we're TAing for other students, and then we will TA for the students. We'll train them on how to do it, and we'll observe their techniques as well. So that's a lot of great practice that way. And then research class, which is kind of specific to the research residency. And on top of the academics, there's also the clinical side. Clinical residents will have a couple of shifts. I think they've got 3 right now, 1 regular shift, 1 specialty shift or focus shift rather, and 1 at the community health centers. I've got a regular shift here, and then I'm trying to schedule now observing at the community health centers so that I get a bit more experience there as well. So even though I'm in the research side, I still get to TA, I still get to be in clinic, and I still get to observe in other clinics as well.
So it's not like you're like isolated, you're still very involved in the other aspects.
I'm very involved in the school in general. It's a broad, wide net. Remember when I said I don't like to be bored?
Exactly.
I'm
it's like
not bored.
impossible here.
It's impossible to be bored in this position.
So our next question, I really enjoy like hearing you talk. It's just like it's like story time. Just like okay, all right. So the next question is, what is like a main impact that you're aiming to fulfill as a resident, and how are you trying to do that?
Okay. So I've got 2 big ones that I kind of want to talk about. So one's the cancer research. It's kind of trendy right now to be doing cancer research. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it is my passion. And I have some legitimate questions and concerns about using turmeric in cancer. Because there's these new formulas that are coming out that are pretty close to pharmaceuticals. They're giving turmeric in doses or with absorption that is not possible in nature. You can eat turmeric all day long. In fact, there's 1 billion people on this planet who have turmeric every single day. It's just so common in cooking in Asia. So between India, even China as well, Thailand, Thai cuisine has a lot of turmeric used as well, as well as Indian food.
Oh yes.
Everybody knows Indian food has curry. The curry powder, the main color is turmeric. So a lot of people eat this stuff, but these new formulas increase the amount of curcumin, one of the constituents in your blood, 10-fold or more, and it's just not possible to get that through food. That's why they want to do it. They're doing it intentionally because that's the ingredient that's supposed to kill cancer. That's the ingredient that shuts down inflammation in your body. But we don't know if that is going to mess with enzymes and metabolism of other drugs. So is it going to interfere with chemotherapy? Is it safe to give with chemotherapy? Does it cause other effects in the body that we've never been able to study before? So I want to make sure it is safe, and I want to see if it works. And if it does work, fantastic. I'm all for it. But I want to make sure it's safe for my patients. So that's one of the reasons I really want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the impacts, is
Mhm.
answering some of those questions.
Definitely.
And the other side of things is more of an art of naturopathic medicine. So as much as I'm the research guy,
Mhm.
there's
The research guy.
the research guy. There's a therapeutic order that we follow, and it's based on the least impact. So we're looking at prevention, we're looking at diet and lifestyle, and the basis of good health to help prevent and also to treat. So why jump to a high impact, expensive, risky procedure like a surgery or some pharmaceuticals when it can be treated more simply, more safely? We just don't have necessarily the evidence to back it up. We've got clinical experience, but the entire philosophy of loud track. The entire philosophy of naturopathic medicine is doing it gently, doing it healthily. And I want to bring that back in, because there's a lot of talk right now about orthomolecular medicine, doing high dose vitamins, doing proprietary forms of turmeric, as another fantastic example. When those are newer forms, and we don't necessarily know the full impact of it. So I want to bring us back to our roots. So what I'm teaching my students in clinic, I've got a whole series planned for September.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, I wish I was in clinic so I can hear this.
I'm sure we'll make it available at some point.
Oh, awesome.
Bring us back to our basics. So we know that diet and lifestyle is key, and a lot of the interns are really good at mentioning the diet and lifestyle. I want to bring back the importance and why we're doing that, and just sort of teach on that lower level and see if we can firm the basis of health before going to the higher impact therapies. Yeah.
Yeah. Taking it back to the basics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how has being both a student and teacher of naturopathic medicine, how has this affected your life?
So, first of all, I'm doing what I love, which means I'm actually happier than I've been in a very long time. It makes me happy to do the research. It makes me happy to see patients, to help people, to teach. So this is my life's journey. This is my path. This is what I want to do. So it's basically it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty important impact.
Yeah.
And then variety being the spice of life. As I said, I don't like to be bored. And the constant change, the new things that keep coming up. It's impossible to get bored in medicine. It's impossible to be bored here. So that's really making me happy as well. Support for private practice startup. There's a lot of support available here. So if I've got a question, if a student comes to me and I'm supposed to be teaching them, and they say, what do I do about this herb in pregnancy? I have no idea what to do. I don't have much experience with pregnancy. I don't know what to do either. But I know who to ask. And I managed to pick Dr. Zambri's brain for 20 minutes with the student there too. So I get to be a teacher and a student at the same time, and I get to fill my gaps. I get to help my students fill in their gaps. So there's sort of a richness that comes with that. I think it's also helpful to students to realize that their supervisors don't always know the answers. And
feels more real. Like the same kind of closer closer.
Yeah, exactly. And that it's okay to not know the answers. The trick is finding the answers when you need them. And then how to do that, how to get those answers. So I found that rather an enriching experience. I also really love learning cool things. So we've got specialized training in certain things. We did a whole series on myofascial release that all of the residents, and we've been bringing that into clinic and sharing that with our students. Herb training. We've had a couple seminars in botanical medicine. We had one on Chinese botanical medicine for treatment of a couple of specific conditions, which is really valuable. Aside from the fact that those are two of the areas I'm really interested in. We also did pediatrics, which helps fill in the gaps because I'm really not that comfortable with children, but I'm getting better. So I can handle things better now, and that training was actually really useful for that. Also, special opportunities. Just yesterday, I was at the Toronto Western Hospital observing in the family liver clinic. So I got to see 7 patients, different presentations of hepatitis C. I got to see Wilson's disease. I got to see hepatitis B, how to treat each one, how they're different, how the patients are dealing with these conditions, the challenges they have to face, where they need support, and then I can now bring in, I'm planning in the next couple of days to work through these scenarios and how can naturopathic medicine help these patients in those situations. So helping to see these cool things is really great, but then being able to then apply it is also really, really helpful. And the school covers our prescribing and therapeutics training. So we did that. I did that training. I've got those prescribing rights, and I've actually used them in clinic. So not just, oh, this person needs a B12 shot, can you supervise? But somebody who came in prescribed with a prescribed drug or a series of drugs, and should they take them, should they come off of them? Some that are in our scope. There's one that was in our scope and needed to be adjusted. And there's others where a patient came in wondering what she should do. Should she take these medications or should she do something natural? And my answer to her was actually both. In her case, with her concerns, with her risk factors, it made sense for her to do both for now. Maybe that'll change in the future, but for now, yes, she needs the medications. Here's how we can help you reduce your risks further and maintain the healthiest possible lifestyle. So I was able to use that information. At some point, we will have the IV training as well, which I'm looking forward to. I'm also kind of dreading.
Like bittersweet.
It's bittersweet, but it's one of those applied skills that I want to learn. I want to see if I can have benefit from it. One of the common cancer therapies is vitamin C, IV vitamin C for cancer, high dose. It's something you can't do just by taking vitamin C orally because you can't get the same effect. The effect has been shown primarily through IV because of the blood levels that you can achieve. So it is essentially a pharmaceutical use of a natural substance, but it's also very, very indicated in certain conditions. And there's some evidence now that it's safe with certain chemotherapies in certain cancers. And of course, we're still building on that research right now as well. But it's a very useful therapy, and I want to be able to do that for my patients if needed. Or where needed, I guess, is a better way to say it.
Next question is, how are you currently involved in the field of naturopathic medicine? And
I've got my research project here, which is actually connecting me with a lot of researchers across North America for cancer research specifically. It's also connecting me with ONCAMP, which is the Oncological Association of Naturopathic Physicians. They offer board certification for naturopathic oncology, and it's something I am interested in pursuing further, so I can better more training, of course, and better help for cancer patients. Right now I'm a member of the association, but obviously it takes many years to get the board designation. Being knee-deep in the research world is kind of a big deal to me. Providing new answers to cancer questions and to the profession, helping the profession with some of those answers is important to me. My clinic shift here, yes, it's just one shift, but I'm helping those students with their practice management, with their skills, with their patients. I'm getting to treat and see patients and help them with their health. So that's the core of our profession, is helping people.
Definitely,
I've also started private practice. So outside of CCNM, I've started private practice, and it focuses on cancer and pain management. Oddly enough, what I'm seeing is mental emotional concerns.
It's like the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you work with psychologists. So that's okay. I'm learning more there.
Yeah.
And I've got the support here to help me treat those patients as well, which is important. But that's I'm working on the focus for MSK and cancer care. And I'm also planning, along with that, partially from my training here, partially from connections there, a smoking cessation program.
Okay.
So I was hoping to do that in September. It looks like it's going to be October, November, but
A little bit.
yeah, it's just taking a little bit longer to set up. But it's more about getting into the community and helping people prevent cancer before it even starts, which is back to the foundations of naturopathic medicine. And working with a psychologist, I don't have a medical doctor on board yet, but working with the community, the medical community and support community to help reach people who are ready to quit smoking, or people who are just not sure if they're ready, but they're thinking about it. So to sort of provide access to those patients and to that community.
Yeah, that'll be an excellent resource for them.
I hope so. That's the plan anyway. Yeah. And then of course in September we've got more TA opportunities. I'm looking forward to. I don't know what I'm going to be TAing yet, and I'm really excited to hear.
Yeah. It's going to be a surprise.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exciting to hear about that smoking cessation, that project. That's going to be exciting to hear about how that unfolds as well.
Yeah. It's all very up in the air right now. But I do have a psychologist on board. So we need to have our planning, strategic planning, I guess. And it's going to be a big project, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially as you work out the kinks and it starts to you start to see progress with it and see how people are affected by it, and start gathering research from it, seeing how it's helping.
Yeah. Absolutely. And some of the research I'm doing now on turmeric is we're focusing on lung cancer right now.
Okay.
So we're looking at how it can help with there, but obviously there's other therapies. But we're looking at lung cancer now. And it's the #1 cause of lung cancer is cigarette smoke. It's not the only cause, but it is the biggest cause, and it's preventable, and it's unfortunate that people become addicted to cigarette smoking. So I kind of want to help with that.
What do you feel can be gained from participating in the residency program?
Well, I guess a couple of things. So the residency program itself is a lot of additional training. So we get better at our PCD. OSCE 3 is not the end.
Oh my goodness.
So people pass the exam and move on with their lives. And sometimes we forget some of our skills, we lose some of our skills. The residency is fantastic at helping us build and maintain those skills, the physical exam skills, the interviewing skills, the primary care, the safe practice skills. And on the other side, of course, is whatever your special interest is. If you're interested in Asian medicine and you think you're good but you want to be better, there's plenty of opportunities to TA in Asian medicine. I opted for botanical medicine and manipulation instead. That was my choice. Other people really wanted to do Asian med. Other people really wanted to do homeopathy or some other classes. So opportunities are provided in that sense. There are focus shifts. The clinical residents get to be a part of the focus shifts. Pretty much, I don't want to say of their choice, but their choices are definitely considered. Because if everybody wanted to do pediatrics, then, well, we can't all do pediatrics.
It's only so many spots.
Exactly, yeah. Now I'm on the research side, so I don't have a focus shift, but I get to do the research in the area that I want. And the area of research I want to do is cancer, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I get to do that research that I want to do, which is absolutely amazing. So we also get experience with patients, a wide variety of patients. The clinical residency, they've got a lot of, something like 3 shifts. One of them focused, one of them here, and one of them at a community health center. The variety of patients, the variety of concerns that they see is really, really wide. With the research residency, I still get to see that. Maybe not quite as much, but I still get to see it. So I have my shift here.
Mm-hmm.
I get to observe at the community health centers. I get to be involved. I was actually offered a second clinical shift, and I had to say no.
Okay.
At some point you need to learn to say no, because I wanted to do more research. So I'm doing more research, I'm still seeing patients. Research skills, from the research that I'm doing, learning how to do that.
Do a project from beginning to finish.
Hopefully to see it from beginning to end, and it is a larger project. Learning all of these skills around practice management, learning the skills around project management is what I actually meant to say, but practice management also. We do actually have additional practice management training, which is really nice getting started to have that support, and to be able to start a private practice part-time and build from there. So we have a half day first year, second year we have a full day. Most of us also work on a Saturday. So I'm doing 2 half days a week right now. Come September, it'll be probably a day and a half in private practice. Plus that smoking cessation thing, which is going to take up some evenings. So that's some stuff that I'm definitely getting from this as well. Teacher education and skills. Those of us who took the residency, we really want to teach. So we're offered, and we actually are supposed to take, additional teacher education to help us be better teachers, both for our patients and also for our students. And then, of course, the salary doesn't hurt. That's actually one of the reasons that I can build my practice slowly and not worry too much about the finances, because I've got the bases are covered. I can focus on what I want to do.
That's great. That's not that I want to use a word that says like, you know, a box full of goodies. I don't know the word, but it's like equivalent to that, like just it's like overflowing. So that's fantastic. What are some challenges that you feel people may face in the residency program?
Okay, there's 2 that I wanted to mention, because along with the box of goodies comes the need for time management, and you need to be able to say no. You need to know your limits, you need to know when enough is enough, and you need to know how to turn down really nice opportunities, because you can't do everything, so you have to pick and choose. So pick and choose the goodies that you want. That has been a challenge for me because I tend to overdo it. And when you overdo it, then your life gets thrown out of balance a little bit. So when you start to feel like you're overdone and you don't want to be here anymore, you've probably said yes to too many things. So take that as a cue to find a way to scale back, recheck your perspective, and move forward. Another one is being forced into uncomfortable situations. As much as we get to play and learn the things we really want to learn, the stuff that we have to learn, also we have to learn it. So sometimes we're learning at a very quick pace. So if you have not done a neurological exam in years and you are then forced to TA that class and teach people how to do a neurological exam, you need to learn it. And you need to learn it well enough to teach others, and you need to learn it quickly. So that kind of thing, and it's across the board. You go into clinic one day and you see maybe 12, 16 patients, and 4 of them have a condition you've never even heard of before. As much as you say, we'll research, you can't leave it to the intern to do all the work, because that's not, one, it's not fair to them. They're expecting you to be able to teach them. So we then have to do the research ourselves as well in addition to that. So, which is totally fair and totally necessary, but you have to be willing to do that. If you're not willing, if you're not willing to learn, it's going to be a miserable experience. But if you love to learn, if you love to dig into these ridiculous, strange little things, then that's where it becomes a box of candy. For people in general, not going to talk about health and lifestyle and all that stuff. One thing I did want to say is you need to know yourself and you need to be yourself. whatever your profession, know who you are and where your values are, and live up to your values. So if you really love math, and I'm kind of one of those nerds, if you really love math and you really love what you do, get into it. It's okay to be that person. Know that you love math. Dive in there. Go ahead and do it. Have some balance. If you know you need to take a 1-hour lunch break and wander around in the woods, as long as that's possible, and then you can come back to your office and dive into the math again, do it. Know who you are. Know what you need. If you don't know what you need, and you're working some quote-unquote dead-end job, and you don't know where you want to be, and you don't feel like you've got the prospects to move forward, figure out who you are and what your life purpose is. Maybe work is just paying for you to volunteer somewhere, and that's okay. If that's what you need to do, if you're, well, obviously for me it's helping people and it's learning to heal. If you need to help, if you need to give back to a certain community, if your thing is raising a family and passing on your values to your children, that's a big thing for a lot of people. So if that's your thing, and you're able to do it, and you want to stay home with the children. I met a family who, in this society, it's oddly enough, it is not okay to have to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. And this one family made the decision to, now Mr. had a higher salary than Mrs., so Mrs. chose to stay home. And that was the right decision for their family, for their children, and for them as a couple. Oddly enough, the community didn't like that. They said, oh, you should be working, this is the 90s, or this is the modern age. You can both work and have a life. Yes, you can, but is that you? If it's not you, find a way, don't do it. Do what is you, be yourself. I might have overstated it. I think I stopped.
No, that was passion right there. No, do you? Yeah.
And I guess that also applies to, the same advice applies to people who are considering naturopathic medicine. If you feel like this is the right place for you, do it. Go for it, jump in, don't worry about the money. I mean, plan, but it's okay to, you don't need to have $300,000 in the bank.
I know very few people who do. I don't know anybody who
Exactly,
does.
exactly. I think it's less than 10% of people who leave here without debt, and that's, that's fantastic. I don't mind saying I've got a huge student loan. I'm not going to say what it is, but a lot of us do, and I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because this is what I want to do. This is my passion in life. So if this is your passion in life, go for it. Do it. And be who you're meant to be. So.
That was a blip. And so we had, our other group is, any words of wisdom for current students of naturopathic medicine at any stage of the program, of any of the institutions?
Sure.
Yeah.
So again, I'm kind of the research guy. So I wanted to talk a little bit about evidence-based medicine and what that really means. So
that's great.
So there's 3 parts to evidence-based medicine. One part is the research. There's 2 other parts that are also incredibly important, and the 3 have to balance. So one of the other parts of it is clinical experience. So not just of yourself, but of the profession as a whole. And the third part is patient values. So first, for the research side of things, it's not just here's psoriasis, and I want to do this, and I found a journal article, a trial that actually supports this. It's about finding the best available evidence. So if there were 3 systematic reviews and meta-analyses, and they're kind of, might work, might not great results, don't skip those and dig for that one RCT that says, wow, this really worked. Go with the best available evidence. So if there is a systematic review, go over that, read it, see if it's biased, see if it makes sense, see if you agree with the authors, and that becomes the basis for whatever treatment you're considering. As far as, does this treatment actually work for this condition? Mm-hmm. Now, it may not answer your question specifically, because sometimes, obviously, a patient is more complex than a systematic review. But you use that systematic review to help inform your clinical decision-making. On the other side of things, what if there is no research? There's no systematic review, there's no RCT, there's one little lowly rat study. But it's an herb we've been using for 20,000 years, and there's 3 case reports, and that's all you can find, and then you've got your textbooks. Use those case reports, use those textbooks. That is considered evidence. It may not be as good as an RCT for a specific herb in a specific condition, but it does qualify as evidence. So that's what I mean by best available evidence. If all you've got is 3 case reports, then that's what you've got. And then if you've got more, then use more. Along with that, I guess that, and if all you've got is that clinical experience and the other supervisors who've tried it and who've done it, maybe the case report's not even published, then you move towards that level of evidence. The second part of this is clinical experience. What have you tried? What have you seen in private practice, in clinic as an intern, when shadowing clinic in first, second, or third year? What have you seen that's worked? What did you see that maybe it didn't work? How does that compare to our clinical values of therapeutic order? So how does all of this play in? Maybe you don't have the experience. That's what your supervisors are for. That's what your colleagues are for. Once you graduate, you can still call up buddies from class. As a 4th year intern, you've got groups of 5, 6, 7 interns, roundtable. Preview, that's what preview and review is for. Learn from your supervisor, learn from your classmates. If someone has a special interest in things, for probiotics, I'm actually kind of weak with probiotics. But one of my classmates is very, very strong in probiotics. So I picked her brain. I wrote down a whole pile of notes. I still need to memorize those notes, but I have them there. And if I forget them, if I lose them, I can always call her up or Facebook her and say, hey, how does that work again? And get that help. That's her clinical experience, and based on her research as well, and some of her supervisors and the learning that she got from them. So we can use that, and that helps to balance out that RCT that's kind of relevant, but they miss the fact, like it doesn't apply to this particular patient for some reason, and that's where the clinical experience helps to balance that out. The third part of this, and this is really important, is patient preference. If all of the research says this patient should be on a statin, but the patient says, no way, I am not taking that drug, what are you going to do? Go back to your MD and take that statin? No. You work with the patient. If you suggest that the patient should take this herbal combination, and they take one taste of it and decide, this tastes horrible, I can't do this. Or you offer them an orthomolecular treatment, a single nutrient that they can take and will fix all of their issues. Rare, but sometimes what they need is a supplement. And they say, I don't want to take any pills. I'm really happy with teas. I've got these 5 herbs in my garden. Can I use one of them? And after you go over all of the options, and one of those herbs is ideal for that patient, and they're willing to make a tea 3 times a day, if that's what they're willing to do, sometimes you have to go with it. Educate, take your time to teach them and say, this is a better option, but if you're not going to do this, okay, yes, this will help. We can try it, we'll see if it works. Maybe there's no evidence, but it might work. Versus this thing over here that really will, but they want to do that one thing that might work.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
Let the patient dictate at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Just make sure they're going to do it safely. Make sure they're safe, but then keep them healthy as best you can. And don't take it personally if they say, you know what, I don't want to do any of this, or none of it's working. If it's not working and they need to be referred back to the MD, say, you know what, maybe I can't help you. If you're not willing to do these things, and then I just can't help you. And it's okay, and it's not your fault. It's the patient's choice, and let them make that choice. Do your best to educate, and leave it in their hands. I'd like to skip ahead a little bit to those who are considering the residency.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet.
Okay.
If you're interested in the residency, if you love to teach, if you want to learn a lot, and you love learning, and you want to contribute to the profession and to the school, if all of those three things apply, then the residency is the place for you. The converse is also true. If you are tired of learning, if you don't want to teach, and if you really feel no need to contribute, then maybe another avenue will speak to you more. But definitely, if you love to teach and you want to learn, and if you want to contribute to the school, then this is definitely the place for you.
That's very well said.
Thank you.
And it's good to know that, like, as great as like this opportunity might be, like sometimes it's just not the right fit for certain people.
Exactly.
So it's good to consider that as well.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to be is in the wrong place, and there's long hours and there's a lot coming at you, and if you aren't passionate about being here, that's when it becomes overbearing, and that's when people become unhappy, and I don't want that for anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, one opportunity that I forgot to mention.
Sure, yeah.
Just like within a week of starting my residency here, there was a competition that came up, a case report competition. Now, all of us, we wrote case reports in 4th year. Some of us took them seriously, some of us a little less seriously, but there are opportunities to get those published. I submitted to a competition, and I won that competition.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
So I got to go to the InCam conference, and I did a poster presentation. It's the poster that's on the wall behind me.
Oh, shoulder dysfunction.
Shoulder dysfunction for a patient who'd had radioactive iodine treatment for cancer. And we treated her MSK issues very, very successfly. And now that case report, the abstract has been published.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
And
then the poster, I did a presentation for my poster, and I did an oral presentation at this conference as well, 15-minute, just describe the case. And that was an opportunity that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And through that conference, I've also made a number of connections to help with another project that I want to do involving research in private practice. So random opportunities come up, partially as a result of the residency, although anybody can submit their case report to that competition and to others. So there's these little opportunities are available for people who want to get involved. So if you're interested, take them.
Yeah. And what was the experience like for you, by the way, to go and present and just be in that arena?
It was a bit nerve-wracking. It was a little bit of last minute, try to get this poster together as quickly as possible and not mess it up. But it was a really supportive environment. It was a small presentation. The safety talks tend to be, and that's okay. But there was good feedback from it. And it was an enjoyable experience to share what I'd done to help a patient. And it's very, very individualized. No one will be able to repeat this specifically. But there's the fundamentals of how that was put together, of what was done, can be shared, and hopefully other people got some of the ideas, some new tools, new ways of thinking about a case. So if they have a case that's a little bit off the wall, maybe they can pull something from this case, or maybe they can pull something that they learned at the conference and use it in some way.
And is there a way that we can, because you mentioned that it's been published, so would you be able, like, would I be able to get the link from you to, is that possible, or how does it work?
It should be
Okay.
possible. It
Okay.
is one abstract that's lumped into 95 pages worth of abstracts.
Okay then.
So it's
Okay.
really hard to search and find, but
Okay.
I'm sure I can find the link and I'll send that.
Okay.
I'll send that at some point. I'll put that on my list. So
Oh,
look it up.
thank you. And like,
No problem.
because I noticed that there's the whole case. Is there any way that we're able to read the whole case, or is it just the abstract?
Right now, it's the abstract
Okay.
that's published. I'm going to do another recheck with the patient,
Okay.
follow-up, to see how she's doing now that it's been over a year.
Okay.
And then I want to update the case report itself, and I'm going to try to get that published separately somewhere else.
Okay.
So that's also, I'm getting support from the research department on how to do that as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
because I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in, reading that some more.